Dwayne, thank you very much. Thanks for the introduction, and I want to thank Ed Marks and his wife Frances for allowing us to come and use their facility. And New World Van Lines is a great example of the story that we have to tell across the country. And I know that Ed is going to join us at our news conference afterwards when we take a few questions, and he has some very profound statements to make about the environment that he finds here in this state. They do business in 12 different states, and so I want to invite you all to listen to what he has to say, coming from a person who every day has to deal with business climates all across this country. You know, today is a day that's circled on calendars all across the country. It's the day when the IRS demands its tribute from each of you for the year. So to those of you still racing to fill out your forms, trying to track down that last piece of information you need to complete your returns, I think we're all sure that the hard work that you have done is appreciated, and your hard-earned dollars will go to some very, very important cause. They may even name an earmark after you. On the plus side, be happy that you live in a state where you only have to send income tax to Washington, D.C., and not to Austin, Texas. Keeping our taxes low is an essential part of what's made Texas the best place in the country to live, to work, and to raise a family. And that's not going to change under my watch. Some in the legislature would disagree, certainly none of them standing on this stage, though. And in fact, I think this last session of the legislature, there were some that called for a personal income tax in the state of Texas. And, you know, the fact is, those calls aren't unusual. But they're usually made by people who have grand visions of what government can do with all that money, your money, instead of grand visions of what Texans can do if they get to keep that money and decide themselves how the best way to spend it. And two years ago, cooler heads prevailed. And we successfully resisted that call to raise taxes or increase revenue, as they often like to refer to it. And it's because of men and women in Texas who are fiscal conservatives like these individuals standing on this stage with me today that we have to thank for that. I didn't mean that we had no tough decisions to make. We did. The decisions that we made in 2011 helped stabilize our economy, though. It kept industries hiring in the Lone Star State far better than anywhere else in the nation. And as a result, as we stand here today, we're the only state that has regained all of the jobs lost in this recent recession. And we're building on that success. The private sector in Texas added more than 331,000 new jobs from February of 2011 to February of 2012. That's more private sector jobs than any other state in the nation created. Our unemployment rate is well below the national average, even as we continue to attract those job seekers from other states. The reputation is out there, the knowledge is out there that there's people hiring in Texas, and there are many people moving into this state. Our unemployment rate still stays below that national average. Those job seekers are coming to Texas because they've known what a great job these men and women behind me and their colleagues in the Texas legislature have done. We have created an environment where people like Mr. Marks know that it is safe to invest in their business, to watch their business grow. We made a place where they won't be hindered by exorbitant taxes wrapped up in bureaucratic red tape, or find themselves at the mercy of predatory attorneys seeking to make steady money off extensive, drawn-out court cases. This has drawn major employers to our state as well, convinced many others to expand their businesses in our state. Apple, for example, is more than doubling its presence in Austin, Texas, adding 3,600 new jobs to its Austin campus. Just this last week, CGI broke ground on a new facility that will create 350 jobs in Belton, Texas. What all that means to Texans is that we have more stable communities, we have more job security, we have more upward mobility. More recently, our success also means that sales tax collections are up, posting gains steadily over the last 2 years. It's important, however, that we don't interpret higher sales tax collections as a license to spend freely, when it's actually an opportunity for us to make our budget more sound. Even if more money is being collected, we have to treat each dollar as respectfully and as carefully as we can. We have to remember there is no such thing as extra money, not when it's coming out of the pockets of taxpayers. There is a valuable lesson about counting chickens before they hatch. As we watch the national economy continue to struggle to perform at a sluggish, uncertain pace, if high gas prices cripple this recovery, we might be experiencing some years ahead, some months ahead that could be very trying. Going on a spending spree here in Texas is the single worst thing that we can do. So we are approaching this 2013 legislative session, and it offers very clear choice. I think for not only just the months ahead of us, and not just the years ahead of us, but for the future decades in front of not only you, but your children. It's imperative that we remain committed to the sound conservative values that has brought us to where we are today. And we need to take steps to even further that cause and that position. That's why I'm proposing the Texas Budget Compact. It's composed of 5 effective principles that will lead to a stronger Texas. These principles represent a vow to the people of Texas, a pledge that each and every member of our legislature, or anyone aspiring to become a member of our legislature, should sign on to. What I'm calling for is really quite simple. As the stewards of Texas, we should practice truth in budgeting, support a stricter constitutional limit on spending, oppose any and all new tax increases, preserve the rainy day fund, and cut wasteful and redundant government programs and agencies. If Texas leaders will commit to govern and budget by these 5 principles, we'll ensure continued growth and prosperity, we'll have an honest budget, we'll promote a more limited government. I want to take just a second and go through each of these one by one, just to make sure people understand not only the simplicity of them, but the power of these principles. First, enforcing truth in budgeting means hitting the reset button, if you will, on the budgeting process, putting an end to budgetary tricks and maneuvers that produce nothing but short-term solutions and long-term confusion. We need to stop writing IOUs to the next budget, delaying payments, that you know are going to come due. We need to reduce the use of fees and dedicated accounts for anything other than the purpose of which they were sold to the public. And let me take it just another step. If we're not going to use it for the purpose of which it was dedicated, then we need to quit collecting it. Secondly, we need to limit the growth of any increase in state spending to the growth of our population and inflation. Currently, we're only limited by the growth of personal income. And in this state, because of the climate that's been built here, that is a substantially more flexible and a bigger number. My question is, why should the people of the state of Texas allow for government to spend more money than what the population growth and inflation? Answer that question and we can have that debate. But that is a clear standard, I think, that the members of the legislature and the people of the state understand. You know, by keeping this tight rein on spending, we can build a more solid, predictable economy that doesn't put off tough decisions until, in some cases, it's too late to deal with them. And by that, I mean we want to be sure, constitutionally sure, Texas never turns into Washington, D.C. So thirdly, we need to keep our taxes low. That includes opposing any new taxes and any increase on the ones that we already have. An important component of that is making the small business tax exemption permanent. Keeping that small business exemption at $1 million, that leaves 40,000 small businesses with more dollars in their pockets. Make that permanent. Don't make them come to Austin, Texas and beg the legislature every 2 years to put that back into place. Make it permanent. Send a clear, stable message to them. Those small businesses are the real heart and soul of this country. I mean, these individuals like Mr. Marks and who are out, they need the predictability, the stability, that they know that they're not going to be raising taxes on them, that they can hire those individuals who are going to work in this company, and that they know that that stability is going to be in place. Fourth, to preserve a strong rainy day fund. Maintaining an adequate rainy day fund is critical to our ability to respond to unforeseen circumstances and emergencies in the state of Texas, whether it's man-made or natural disasters that we have here. And it helps us also maintain a very strong bond rating. So any money paid out of the rainy day fund should be exclusively for one-time only purposes. We should never use the rainy day fund to pay for ongoing expenses. And fifth, we need to target and eliminate unnecessary government programs and agencies, especially those that are performing redundant, similar functions throughout state government. Now, over the years, we've worked to streamline government and make it more efficient. However, there's just more that needs to be done. And I take it as a basic conservative value that whether tax receipts are coming in higher than expected or lower than expected, we always need to look first at how to cut expenses. We must always do everything that we can to get the most possible out of every single tax dollar that we get from taxpayers. We also have to remember that the cost of Medicaid is a ticking time bomb. It is primed to do massive damage to our budget in both the short term and the long term. Now, that's not unique to Texas. That is a pandemic that is impacting every state in this nation. Medicaid already consumes a massive amount of our budget and promises to eat up even more in the years to come. Particularly, this process will accelerate, and accelerate significantly if the Supreme Court does not find Obamacare unconstitutional. Passing the exorbitant cost of health care on to the states is in no way fixing health care. You know, one thing is certain. There's one thing that is certain. It's wrong for Washington to tie our hands with arbitrary and misguided requirements when it comes to Medicaid. Forcing one-size-fits-all onto the states will prevent us from being able to put good practices into place that allow us to take care of our citizens as we see fit. It's time for Medicaid money to be distributed in a block grant. It is that simple. States, it doesn't make any difference whether you're a Democrat or a Republican governor and or legislature. You best know how to take care of the citizens of your state, not some bureaucrat half a continent away who may have never stepped foot in your state and frankly really doesn't understand the needs of your citizens. In the shorter term, we need to do everything that we can to help Texas become stronger, more prosperous, better prepared to deal with the unexpected, and better positioned to take care of our own. And that's what the Budget Compact is all about. It's an incredible opportunity to do what's right for Texas and for Texans. We live in the greatest state in the nation. We live in the greatest place to live, to raise a family, and to own a business. I believe we can continue to be a beacon for those that are seeking freedom and liberty, to follow their dreams, to find success. I believe the years to come have great promise for all of us. More than anything, I believe that we have been given this golden opportunity to demonstrate once again the right way to run a budgetary process, a state government, and an economy is the Texas way.